Hi, my name is Bobby Filbert. I'm a Public Information Officer with Great Basin Team 2 here on the August Complex on the Northeastern Zone. Today is October 15th, 2020. So today on the total August Complex, we are sitting at 1,029,605 acres, and we're currently at 77% contained. Here on the Northeastern Zone, we're at 406,000 acres and 65% contained. Currently on the complex, we have 3,130 people. So I'm going to bring in our Deputy Operations Section Chief, Britt Davis, and he's going to give you a suppression update for the Northeastern Zone today. Britt?
Good morning. So today is basically going to be a carbon copy of yesterday, just with a little bit hotter and considerably more wind, but all the operations are pretty much the same. We are still building this hose lay. This is a big, long, complex hose lay. We're actually going to bring in some hose by helicopter and drop it off on the ridge so they can continue progressing that down slope. Yesterday afternoon, we started to fire this piece from Irish Mountain over to the 14 road. But the relative humidity came up pretty quick and shut that operation down, so we'll try that again tonight, again when we get the right conditions. Progressing down, really from there all the way through to the end of our uncontained line, it's mop-up. We're doing mop-up all the way down, really to this DP 123, which is just on the south of Round Mountain. We're tied into the Buckfire. We're basically done doing work in the Buckfire at this point. This is an area you won't see turn black ever because we're not mopping it up. We had a crew go in and hotspot it and make sure it wasn't progressing anymore, but we're really relying on this Buckfire from 2017 as a holding feature. So even though that remains red, it really isn't a threat to be concerned about by anybody. Proceeding further down to Quebec and Tango, they're really ramping down in here. They've done a lot of the backhaul, so now what's going to be left is getting in and repairing a lot of these dozer lines just for erosion reasons. Did want to double back up. We are still working on this contingency line. Expect a couple more days of that. We're bringing in a hotshot crew to do a little bit of hand crew work probably up there on the very north end, tying down into the river where you can't take dozers. But that'll be like 2 shifts worth of work for a hotshot crew, and that'll be done. Gonna still be flying buckets there in that Progeny area, just keeping that in check until we get through this wind event. But for the most part, we're not super concerned about the wind because of its alignment with us. It really aligns well with a lot of our fire, this really being the only area, and that's where we're spending a lot of our horsepower to make sure it stays in check.
Thanks, Britt. So I just wanted to follow up on one thing. We did mention we're still under a red flag warning today. Strongest winds this afternoon, maybe up to 30 miles per hour. And you did mention that we're looking pretty good with the way the wind direction would come and where the fire footprint is, and just wanted to kind of emphasize, if you could emphasize to the communities out there, really what that means and what kind of fire activity we might see with that wind event.
Well, it's certainly going to increase fire activity, but it's not necessarily going to increase it in a way that's detrimental to our operations. You're pumping hot, dry air into these areas that are still unburned, and so it is going to generate more smoke. There's going to be more activity, but that's not necessarily indicative of a fire that's getting away from us. Just, I guess, be heads up about that.
Great. Thanks again so much. And so that concludes our morning video update for October 15th. And as always, if you need more fire information, you can go to InsaWeb for the August Complex, and you'll see our contact information, our phone number, and our email. And that's going to conclude today's update.